Welcome to the Algo Trading Strategies channel, and in today's video we are going to study an ADX based strategy long only with a fee model of 0.1% applied on the entry and the exit of each trade. So especially we are going to do a quick analysis on the daily time frame, the 4-hourly and the 2-hourly for this long strategy with the following rules. But before, if you don't know already the very goal of this channel, it is to construct a portfolio of automated strategies on Bitcoin, of course, but also on crypto and probably on many more assets in the future. So by backtesting many strategies like I've done in the previous videos, I ensure that I get the best numerical parameters for each and every one of them. And of course, we can have some overfit, some strategies that fit very well with the backtest, with the historical price action. And of course, we want the strategy to work on live trading, the future price action. So I apply some criteria to make sure, or at least to combat, the overfitting topic, which is a difficult one. So in today's video, we are going to explore an ADX, so Average Directional Index based strategy. So as you can see at the bottom of the chart, there are three lines. The purple one indicates the strength of the trend. In fact, this is a trend following indicator, but I also think that many technical indicators that are usually used for trend following could also be used for mean reversion algorithms. So the purple line is the strength, and the green and the red lines indicate simply which trend is it. If the green line is above the red line, it's simply a bullish trend, and vice versa. So for example, here we have a small uptrend. As you can see, the green line is above the red line, and the strength, so the purple line, is growing progressively, is going to the upside. So what's today's algorithm route? It's very simple. When we cross a certain threshold that you can see on the right here for the purple line, and we have the green line that's above the red line. So for example, when the purple line crosses above the 20 threshold, we enter along. For example, it would be maybe for this, so we can see here the value in purple. So we go from 8 to 13 to 18 and here to 24. So we would have entered along on this very small green candlestick here at the close of the day here in the daily time frame. And then we close the long trade when the green line crosses below the red line. So I think this is on this big red candlestick here at the end of the day. So at about $61,500 here for Bitcoin. So now you know the rules of the strategy. Let's study the sensitivity heat maps. So here's the daily one. So as you may know already, usually the daily one offer very good performances, but the problem usually is the number of trades. And one of my criteria is to have more than 100 trades over the whole backtest. So let's see. So the x-axis represents the ADX length, because yes, the average directional index usually uses, so here I have a length of I think 10, but it usually by default uses the 14 last historical candlesticks, but we are going to vary that parameter here and study it in the range of between 2 and 230, I believe. As you can see on the x-axis, it varies between 2 and 30. And the ADX threshold, the y-axis, will vary between 10 and 50. So the threshold is simply the value for the purple line to cross over. For example, for this very candlestick we have 24, and the next one is 30, more than 30 in fact. So here it crosses above 30. So if we use an ADX threshold of 30, we would enter the trade here on this green candlestick. So we are going to study a range also for the entry ADX threshold. So as you can see, the best performances are reached for an ADX length of around 10 or so, and an ADX threshold which is very low of around 15, which is right when the trend is beginning actually. So for example, here you can see that my mouse is at about 15 for the ADX strength, the purple line. So such a low threshold, we enter the trend at the very beginning, and that's very interesting. That's why we use such a technical indicator. So let's quickly look at the returns. So here are the returns expressed as a multiplier times with a starting capital, for example, of $1,000, you would end up at about 25 $1,000 at the end of the backtest for a length of maybe 10 or 12, and an ADX threshold, which is very low here, of about 10. So these cells here on top. So here is the backtest with the daily time frame. I chose 10 and 10 for the parameters. So essentially about this cell, I didn't choose the best one, which is the next one on the right. On the Sharpe ratios, it's this one, so 10-10. So the performance is quite good overall, but we have to admit that the drawdowns can get quite high sometimes, especially, for example, during the 21-22 bear market on Bitcoin, with a drawdown of about 50%. So quite high drawdown. But the number of trades here for the daily time frame is quite acceptable. It's straight 100 trades, in fact. And if you don't know already, this is one of my thresholds. I want more than 100 trades usually. So let's look at the 4-hourly. In the 4-hourly version of our strategy, the Sharpe ratios are quite good also. So let's look also at the returns. So here the best returns with around a 10x are met for the ADX length of about 14 and an ADX threshold of around 20 or so. So now let's take a look at one of the backtests. So with the default length for the average directional index of 14 and a threshold when we enter the trade of just 20, so quite low for the IDX, we are targeting the beginning of a trend here. We get this backtest in the 4-hourly version, so about a 10x, and the number of trades also is quite acceptable with almost 300 trades. Also, let's note that the Sharpe ratio is okay, it's above 1 with 1.1 for the annualized Sharpe ratio. And finally, the 2-hour version, so the best Sharpe ratios above 1, as you can see on the right, are reached for the length of about 16 or 17 or 18, so this rosier area here, and an ADX threshold of around 40. So we obtained the best returns for almost the same values for the ADX length and the ADX threshold. So for example, we are going to do a backtest for an ADX length of 16 and a threshold of 40. So let's do that. So here is the equity curve in blue in the middle chart for these very numerical parameters in 2 hours here. So the X multiplier, the return in fact is not so impressive, but it's quite good equity curve with a Sharpe ratio above 1. And the number of trades is more than 100 here, 132. So yeah, overall I think you had a good overview of this ADX based strategy, long only here. Of course we could also study the short version of this strategy. Hope you had some good value today in this video. If it's the case, please hit the like button, and I see you in more backtests in the future videos. Bye bye.